Cloudcast Media.
Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg, and it always is great when we have our friends in from some of the spectacular school districts that dot San Diego County, and this is one that's an award-winning, and they've been doing just top-shelf stuff for kids and parents and teachers and the community for so many years, and it's our friends from the Chula Vista Elementary School District. Joining us is Michael Bruder, the Innovation and Instruction Coordinator. Michael, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having us, Drew.
Of course. And joining him is his colleague, Marc. Now, pronounce your last name.
Keehmer,
just like it sounds over there,
yeah,
Marc.
That H it's walkie.
Very, very good. I got it. No, that's easy to pronounce now. Visual and Performing Arts Coordinator for the district. Michael, how long have you been at the district?
I've been with the district for 17 years now.
17 years. Very good. Do your kids go to the district? Are they in the district?
My two older kids have,
Yeah.
and I've now moved on to middle school, and
Yeah.
I have, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
my oldest went through the district and
Okay.
now moved on to middle school, and I have two that are currently in the district.
Very, very, very good. And how about you, Marc? Any kids in the district?
No, not yet. I have a 4-year-old. So
4-year-old,
she's
okay.
not quite ready.
Not quite ready yet. How long have you been working for?
I've been with Chula Vista for 8 years.
For 8 years.
Yes.
Okay. All in the same position?
No, not in the same position. So I started out as a music teacher. I was a
Okay.
music teacher for 6 years. And then
Right.
for the last year and a half, I've been the VAPA Coordinator.
Right. So VAPA, as our listeners know, is one of the favorite topics we chat about. Marc, you and I were commenting about that yesterday on a Zoom call. And if Drew ran the world, that's the course we would offer, and every content area would be taught through visual and performing arts. Anybody who has heard the show knows why we're saying that, and maybe we'll have Marc talk a little bit about that. But Michael, I think, listen, we're so proud to work with you, we being the Cloudcast Media and, of course, Classroom of the Future Foundation. I've been honored to be involved with it almost since its inception in '97, and now on the leadership team. And there's been a strong relationship with your district and your former superintendent, Francisco Escobeda, who was on our CFF board, your current one, Eduardo Reyes, who's a big supporter of CFF, and of course, Matt Tessier, who we stole from you. Matt was Assistant Superintendent of Instruction, now coming over to the County Office of Education and going to work in the Innovation Division and with CFF. But, talk about just, the unbelievable work that you folks do in innovation in Chula Vista. I mean, that's about a 15-hour conversation, but you guys are laser beamed on it.
Yeah, we're fortunate, first of all, to have amazing leadership from our board to our cabinet leadership, and they've supported innovation throughout the whole process over the last 7 years. And a lot of the work that we do is really driven by our mission, and that's to help students explore their strengths and interests and connect it with potential careers. So we try to create innovative learning experiences where students get to explore those strengths and make connections to different sectors in the workforce. And we have amazing industry and community partners that help us make that happen.
I was very fortunate. My partner, Charles Parisi, who many of our listeners have heard, founder and CEO of Cloudcast, went and visited a bunch of those stations. And Charles, I'm sort of quoting him saying, boy, that is the foundation of innovation, and people need to come to that district and watch what you folks have done. Talk about how important career exploration is for kids K-8 and above.
It's one of the most important things. We know that the research shows that students start foreclosing on careers as early as 4 years old for various reasons. And through the work that we're doing, we want students to be able to see themselves in those careers. Figure out, hey, this is what I'm passionate about, this is what I love to do, and here's a pathway to get there, and start doing that in elementary school.
Talk a little about, the stations. We're going to get to Sound Station in a bit, but do you do interest surveys so the kids fill out something and say, at this stage, I'm interested in X. And we all know in a year that may be totally different, and it's no different than adults, right? Exactly. And they make shifts. But they do some interest surveys, do they not?
They do. So ahead of the experience, they take a strengths assessment, similar to the Gallup Strengths Explorer that adults may take. And our teachers, our amazing teachers, are trained to unpack that with our students. They get a one-page profile that describes their top 5 strengths and how they all come together. And they also identify their personal interest and some career aspirations. And they have the opportunity within the platform to refresh that with every experience that they have.
Right. So if our listeners have fainted, it is because, yes, this is what people should have been doing since man started and women were walking upright. Heaven forbid we actually listen to what students want to learn, and then even more importantly, do what Chula Vista has done a great job is execute what they want to learn. And, it's always been amazing to me because we all know this, Mark, that when you hit on something that student likes to do, and in your world, VAPA, this kid or kids just raise the bar on their achievement. Talk about that.
I love VAPA. Visual Performing Arts has been part of my life since I was in 6th grade. And so the better part of my life, I've always been involved in some capacity. And to be able to now help our teachers provide a space for students to explore who they are, to learn through different means, to try and just become a better human, like there's nothing better than that.
Yeah, exactly. And, talk a little bit about the careers in VAPA. VAPA has careers? Are you kidding me? My goodness, there's about 4 billion careers. Talk about that.
Yeah, there are so many careers within the visual performing arts landscape. And I think people kind of default to, well, you're either a musician or you're a recorder, like a producer, and that's about it. But if we started talking about careers, I had no idea a visual and performing arts coordinator existed, up until, I started teaching.
Right.
And so I think that there are a plethora of careers out there that we have yet to really dive into and really explore and show kids that this is a possibility. You might not be the most musical individual, but if you love music and you want to help people succeed in music, here's a career for you. If you want to be a coordinator and you can help people, And so I think that there are lots of jobs that we just haven't really dove into yet.
Well, people who build sets, you talk about someone who has to know science and geometry and algebra and so forth, someone who wants to be a lawyer. They represent theaters, community theaters and big theaters, or actors and all that. It's endless. We're chatting with Marc Keehmer. He is the visual and performing arts coordinator for the Chula Vista Elementary School District, joined by his colleague Michael Bruder, innovation and instruction coordinator for CVESD. I'm Drew Schlosberg, and you're listening to Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show on Cloudcast Media, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, doing great things for San Diegans for more than 60 years. So, Michael, because all the stations you have, how many stations do you have?
We currently have 5.
And when they are?
We have our coastal education program that's located at the Living Coast Discovery Center.
Great place, by the way.
Beautiful place. We have our health station that's located at the Chula Vista Elite Athlete Training Center. We have our hydro station that's at a groundwater desalination plant. And we have our innovation and energy stations that are located in the Chula Vista Public Libraries.
Yeah, and again, I was honored to see every one of those. And what is the next one on the planning board?
I'm so glad you asked that. To kind of go with what Mark was talking about,
right?
It's the sound station.
And, we got a chance to see this thing. It's going to be just an absolutely knock your socks off venue when it's all built out. What are the goals? What is going to be at that sound station for students and actually the community probably to enjoy?
And it really goes back to what you both were talking about, is giving students the opportunity to explore creative careers. We're basing it off the research from the Otis College and their report on the creative economy, and opening it up to about 40 different careers related to the creative economy, from graphic design to musician and so on. There's the opportunity for students to see themselves in creative careers.
Right. And full disclosure, we're hoping that Cloudcast Media will be shoulder to shoulder with you on that. I shouldn't say hope. We are going to be shoulder to shoulder with you on that as well. Yeah, Mark, you were going to add to that.
Yeah, I think that the sound station is going to provide an opportunity for students to see a new side of the arts. And I think, a music teacher in their classroom, they have so many things that they need to do. And this new experience that they're going to have is going to build upon what they've done in that classroom with also a new lens. And I think that that's a beautiful thing where students are creating, students are trying new careers, new roles, and exploring, what do I like? And this is something I really like. I might not like performing, but you know what? I need to create a budget here, and we have to have a touring band and all this stuff. And so those simulations are going to be things that are going to be attached to the sound station. So we're also trying to meet the needs of all of our students, not just those who are quote unquote creative, but all students are, but those who don't necessarily identify.
And you hit a very good point. All students are creative in their own ways, in this aspect of it. Mark, and you can jump on this too, Michael. If I was a parent of a child that's in your district, I would be so geeked up and just going, wow, my kid's going to get to experience these different stations. She's actually going to learn about different careers. And you listen, the career that my 8-year-old is interested in 3rd grade might be very different as a 9-year-old in 4th grade, or whatever the case may be. When we come back from break, I want to talk a little bit about that as well. The different platforms they have and the collaboration. Your district is just actually known to be one of the best districts in terms of collaborating with folks outside the district and so forth. You can hang your hat on that. Want to talk a little more of the STEAM and the STEM, connection, of course, as it ties into both of those. And then, what does these stations look like 2 years from now, 3 years from now, and 4 years from now? And always we spend time in the second half of the interview. What can our listeners do to support your efforts? How's that sound?
Great.
Good. We're going to be right back with Marc Keehmer. He is the Visual and Performing Arts Coordinator for the Chula Vista Elementary School District, joined by his colleague Michael Bruder, Innovation and Instruction Coordinator. I'm Drew Schlosberg. You've been listening to Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community show on Cloudcast Media, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, doing spectacular things for San Diegans for more than 60 years. We will be right back.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg, and you're listening to Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community show on Cloudcast Media, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. We're doing just remarkable things for San Diegans for 60 years. We're here in the Mission Fed studio in Scripps Ranch, joined by our friends from the Chula Vista Elementary School District, Michael Bruder, Innovation and Instruction Coordinator for the district, and joined by his colleague Marc Keehmer, Visual and Performing Arts Coordinator. We were talking about just the careers that you folks have. Start with you on this, Michael, because I want people to really get an understanding of what a station looks like. So you guys have cards. Do you have different types of jobs and essential skills that when these kids go through one of those stations, okay, then one up on the docket coming up, a sound station, but choose a station that we talked about, maybe the one that's at the library, and talk about what students get to see in there.
Sure. Our first station, the Innovation Station, would be a great example. And it's a lot of career-related learning experiences. The idea is when our kids step into that space, they're stepping into the role. They're putting on the hat. whatever you want to call it, to give that chance for them to be, I am a software developer right now. I am a cybersecurity analyst. You name the career, they're putting on that hat. And the career-related learning experiences we put together with our partners, we want to make sure they're authentic and they represent what the field looks like. So with the Innovation Station, the City of Chula Vista is a great partner, but also Qualcomm Think-A-Bit Lab. And we're able to get those real-life career activities in our stations. And students go through a rotation based on some career development framework where they get to try out 6 different activities. And in the second half of the day, they get to go through what we call problem-based learning. So we ask our partners and we ask our collaborators, what are some of the problems you face in your field? And we give that to kids. And we ask them to design a prototype with the tools that we have there. And throughout that experience, they've taken on so many different roles, and they get a chance to look through the cards that you mentioned,
right,
and align their strengths and their interests with potential careers. And it tells them about the reading level, the growth rate, the pay, and so many other details about each career.
Right, exactly. And these are only for upper grades, like 3-8 or 4-8 or 4-6 or whatever, or every kid?
For every student, currently the stations that we have now are serving our 4th, 5th, and 6th grade students.
Right, exactly.
But we also would love to grow that,
right,
and go on to different grade levels, as well as we have other ways that our younger students are able to access. So we have after school programming with our partners at various stations, and we also do live online events K through 6 across the district as well.
Right. Yeah. And I think, again, and something that you've hit, quite a bit here, you base that instruction on research. That research you have done, creative research. It's what's actually going in those key sectors in San Diego County. These are the jobs. This is what it looks like now. This is what it's going to look like in the future. That could shift and all that business. And we're choosing those vibrant, skills and careers on that. And VAPA ties beautifully into that, does it not, Mark?
Oh, it totally does. Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
And fortunately for us in Chula Vista, students as early as TK, they get VAPA.
Right.
And so our program has been around long enough where we have students who have only had VAPA in their elementary career. And so they don't know a career or a life without it. And it's a beautiful thing. And our disciplines, they teach everybody and they're open to everybody. And it's great.
Right. And again, we talk a lot about STEM and STEAM and all that business. And of course, there's just as much STEM in VAPA as there are in anything else, right? And I know that's something that's critical to what you're doing. So to talk about, how do VAPA students use math? Okay. And you're a musician. You use math all the time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There are many different ways to make those connections with other subject areas in something called arts integration.
Right.
And so I believe that there are 3 different sectors of arts education as a whole. We have arts for art's sake, which is when students are learning music and learning art and theater and dance for the sake of purpose of doing that. But then when we get to arts integration, we're a little bit more strategic with what our end goal is. For example, if we want students to write a poem, for instance, we have them kind of go through those processes. They write a poem, and then to attach to that, they can create a visual, a 3D model or a visual piece to represent something of that poem. Or for math, there are many different ways to kind of incorporate that and it's just it's a vehicle essentially for learning. It's not necessarily, it can be the thing to learn, but it's also a vehicle for the other subjects.
Yeah, and we all know this. Again, we said this earlier. We know this since people were walking upright. Is that whether you're learning math through a textbook, or you're learning math through one of your favorite activities, sports. How do you not learn math through sports? You can teach velocity. You can teach ERA if we want to focus on baseball. And so forth, and all the different aspects with it. I don't consider that learning math. Well, you're doing math. Are you kidding? Or you're doing the history of dance or the history of whatever the case may be. There's not a subject area that doesn't touch what you do. Is that correct, Mark?
That's correct. And it's funny. I actually got to visit a site yesterday, and there was a student, and he raised his hand and very politely said, "I don't mean to be disrespectful, but when am I going to use music in my life?" And then that just kind of opened the door to have this wonderful conversation of how music is in everything that we do, and it's everywhere. And even if you are not the musician producing the music, you are a consumer of that, and you are a part of this giant wheel that is the arts. So it's pretty funny.
Yeah, and we know how critical the music is for so many different reasons in this area. We're chatting with Michael Bruder, Innovation and Instruction Coordinator for the Chula Vista Elementary School District, joined by his colleague Marc Keehmer. He is the Visual and Performing Arts Coordinator. And, Michael, I think, again, we mentioned this earlier, I can't imagine a parent that a kid in the school district that's not excited about what you guys are doing.
Yeah, and I can say for me personally, I have that lens of a parent.
Right.
And I keep that in mind in the work that we do and that we design it. But it's definitely something that we're very proud to share with parents that, hey, when you come to Chula Vista Elementary School District, your child is going to go through all these opportunities from VAPA, from TK, to our station experiences. And that's Chula Vista. That's how we do education.
Right. So Michael and Marc are probably going to kill me for saying this, but listen, having seen the stations that Michael gave us a great tour on, I highly encourage you to look at it, whether you're in the Chula Vista Elementary School District or not. And Michael, you guys are open arms. You want people from all over the county to see what you folks are doing. If some of those ideas can work for other school districts around the county, all the better in that Definitely. Area. But it really is quite an amazing process that you folks have. And it's one of these things that, the reason why we love it so much, and Michael, a little bit of my history on this. I've been involved and show you how old I am. It was called School to Work Transition at the time. So that shows you how old I am. Now, college and career pathways. But, anybody who just is so laser beamed on relevant education and why is this something important to talk. You guys are the poster child for that. You guys, this is why we're learning X, Y, and Z, and so forth, and making it, heaven forbid, fun, creative, entertaining. It's exactly what a school district should be. So my hat's off to both of you guys and to Eduardo and the senior staff over at Chula Vista and, of course, the board, as you said. I'll start with you on this, Marc, and then pivot over to Michael. What can our listeners do to support your efforts?
Our listeners, you can show up to our events, show support, consistently advocate for the importance of the visual and performing arts. And this is, an area that unfortunately isn't necessarily always concrete in California. And I think with support of writing Congress people, writing senators, of saying we want the arts. And fortunately, Prop 28 just passed, and we're super excited about that. That'll provide funding for the arts, but there's always room for growth.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a very, very good point on this aspect of it. And people really need to scream from the mountaintops. Anybody who's gone through VAPA or going through the stations that Michael had talked about is going to say, this is stuff that absolutely we should have learned as kids but didn't have that opportunity or as much. This is the way education should be. It's truly the classroom of the future. And so we're so much geeked up to be, linked up to you on that. So I think that's spot on. That's great advice there, Marc. How about you, Michael? What can we do to support you?
I think advocacy is a huge part of it. When we talk about career readiness, career exploration, for many years, people have thought that's in 7th through 12th grade. And we know the research shows us that needs to happen early and often.
Right.
So being advocates for having those programs for your children, being advocates for supporting the programs that are in place. I think also to our industry professionals out there, we would love to open our classrooms up to you and learn about what you do in the workplace, because we know it's ever evolving. And we joke around about this, but you can't call an innovation department innovation if it's not ever evolving constantly. So we want to stay up to date with the workforce and keep that connection open.
And you guys certainly are. So if people want to get a hold of you, Marc, and I want to learn more about what this is, whether they're in the district or not, how do they get a hold of you?
Through email, I think is probably the best way to do that.
And that is?
It is Marc, marc.keehmer, Keehmer, @cvesd.org.
And right, how do they get a hold of you, Michael?
Same way, michael.bruder @cvesd.org, michael.bruder. And I think also through our district social media channels is another great way. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. districts all on there, and you'll see a lot of the VAPA programs and innovation programs.
And they do want to share what they're doing, and it would be a shame if you. I can't explain it unless you see it, and you have to see these stations. They are just so impressive.
Thank you.
In this area. And what we're going to do is we're going to have Michael and Mark back on again. Maybe you'll even let Eduardo come and join and share some of the
Absolutely.
some of the microphone. Eduardo Reyes is the superintendent, and quite possibly one of the things we love doing on the show here, Mark and Michael, are bringing students in. We have a lot of students that have benefited from whatever it is, whether it's Girl Scouts or whether it's outdoor school education. Would love to have somebody that's gone through one of the stations and come in and talk about that.
Definitely. As passionate as Mark and I are, it's much better to hear it directly from our students.
So you heard it here first on our Spotlight show. That is Michael Bruder and Marc Keehmer saying they're going to have students on. In all seriousness, let's tee that up before the end of the school year and have them come in and share the mic. And you can let them know it's not an intimidating experience. It's a pretty cool experience.
You got it.
Will do.
Michael and Mark, thank you so much for joining us. And thanks for all the unbelievably innovative work your folks are doing at Chula Vista Elementary School District. And there's more to come from you folks.
Thank you, Drew. Appreciate it.
You bet. My pleasure. I'm Drew Schlosberg, and you've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, here brought to you by Cloudcast Media and Mission Fed Credit Union, doing great things for San Diegans for the last 60 years.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.